One-on-one podcast with the Rev Makena.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us again for this beautiful episode. And today we are in the Christmas festivities. So Merry Christmas to you and your family. I'm so excited to be here today on the one-on-one with Reverend Makena. I am your host, Brenda. So today, in today's episode, we're just going to, explore the true meaning of Christmas, expectations, how to set your budgets right, just understanding the true meaning of Christmas, and just, cutting off all the noise and just focusing on that true meaning of Christmas. So please join us and enjoy the Christmas episode. Hello, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and welcome to another exciting Christmas-themed podcast, a one-on-one with Rev Makena. So come in, enjoy. Let us share the Christmas vibes, the joy of the holidays, as we dive deep to understanding, just understanding what Christmas is about, how can we get to enjoy it better. So today, again, my very awesome guest is Rev Makena. And today, Rev, are you excited about the podcast today?
Absolutely, very excited.
It is so merry. You see how even the Christmas tree is making us look so bright.
Absolutely.
Right?
Beautiful.
Okay, so as we talk about Christmas, when someone mentions Christmas, what comes to mind? Is it nyama choma? Is it chapo? Is it time with family? And nowadays there's something, as women, we love Hallmark movies. So we just start watching from November 1st. So to you, when you hear Christmas, what comes to mind?
There is a two-answer response to that. Mm-hmm. There is what Christmas was from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. There is what Christmas is today.
Yes.
Christmas from the very beginning was the birth of Christ. Mm-hmm. We grew up with that in the village.
Yeah.
The affluence within the village setting was not too much, mm-hmm. but everybody knew there was a baby born in Bethlehem. Mm-hmm. Then we have very intelligent human beings who saw a business opportunity. And before very long, when you talk of Christmas, before you even think of the birth of Christ, you have gone through the gifts, you have gone through where you are visiting, you have gone through what will be eaten, you've gone through what gifts to be given. Then, unfortunately, the major item of Christmas, which is the birth of Christ, takes a backstage uko mwisho mwisho. So those are the two positions when you think of Christmas. Earlier on, Christmas was the birth of Christ. Amplified, everything else revolved around that. Currently, it's the gifts, the trips, what we shall spend, who we shall visit. And then somewhere, Christ and the birth of Christ is fitted in. That's what we have today.
Yeah, that is sadly the reality. But again, we want just to go back to that meaning of Christmas. So for those of us who love chapati here and there, you'd go to church for like 2 hours and leave. How, going into this Christmas, how can we, just bring back the true meaning of Christmas?
Okay. The true meaning of Christmas is that Christmas was when Christ was born. I know there is a debate whether it was December, whether we could spend forever on that debate. Whether it was December or January or August, there is no dispute that there was a birth of Jesus Christ that happened. And Jesus Christ came as the Son of God, the Savior of humanity. And so we say Christmas is the birth of hope.
Yes.
A hope into a world that was very hopeless and helpless, a world that needed help, and God decided to incarnate in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ, of course, the virgin birth, so that the fallen man who had fallen as a result of Adam's fall in the Garden of Eden may find restoration in God through the person of his Son, Jesus Christ. That's why we say Christmas is a birth of hope. And therefore, going back then, it tells you, it tells me, it tells the person who is watching this podcast that irrespective of how the year has been, Christmas reminds you that hope always gets birthed again. It doesn't matter what has been crushed. It doesn't matter what has been broken. It doesn't matter what has been lost. Christmas, amongst the many other things, it should remind us that there is always a season of hope being birthed again, hope being rekindled again, a new beginning yet once again.
Wow, that is profound.
Yes.
So hope is the reason for the season.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I know you've given such, you've just given such a nice overview, true meaning of it. But now on ground, you know how they say vitu kwa ground is different.
Ni mambo ni tofauti.
So there's expectations.
Yes.
And the expectations most of the times are, there's a lot of perfectionism in this. You want to get a perfect gift. You want to make the perfect meal for your family. Some other expectation is, hii mwaka December, when I go home, I'm going with someone. So there's a lot of perfectionism in this season. And one thing perfectionism really isn't, something. Most of the times, you're not going to achieve that perfectionism. So for that person who's under pressure, trying to get the perfect gift, trying to, find the best recipes for the family, the best movies for the children to watch, to trying to, last minute find the perfect wife for the family or, the perfect man, in that perfectionism, how can you, just move on from, I want this perfectionism and just shift your mind to that place of hope?
There's also a lot of competition.
Yes.
And competition and all the things you have mentioned are things that have been created by human beings. So we set our standards either against ourselves or standards based on what we have seen other people do.
Yes.
And that becomes our undoing because people's abilities are very different. What you are able to do as part of your celebration is not what the other person is able to do as part of their celebration.
That's true.
What you find fulfillment in when you say umekula Christmas, because that's what we are going to do.
Yes.
Tunaenda kula Christmas.
Yes.
Now you and your cooling Christmas, how you kula Christmas and you come telling everybody else nilikula Christmas, and how somebody else kulas Christmas is totally different.
That's true.
How then do you shield yourself so that you don't get into a rat race, you don't get to overspending because it's a Christmas season, at the exclusion of all the other things, then January becomes a very long month.
Yeah, 60 days of January.
I understand January becomes 60 days, not the normal 30.
Yeah.
My proposal would be, please work with what you have. What haven't we eaten that can be eaten over Christmas? When we were growing up, the major food for eating was chapati. Today, chapati is what is cooked, is given at Miyako, where people are building. The main meal ni chapati.
Yes.
So you find that the excitement of eating this over that is not there.
Yeah.
But there is a way we can still enjoy with what we have and still enjoy Christmas, not competing with Brenda, not competing with Mark Milon, just being ourselves and saying, this is what we have. We have a life to live beyond one day of a Christmas and beyond the Boxing Day 26th. We might not even have any boxes to open on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
But we can plan to have just a good time with what we have. We'll have this meal, we'll have this friend, or we'll just have ourselves and simply thank God for life. We are not able to go to Mombasa, we are not able to go to Naivasha for various reasons. We might not even be able to go up country, again for various reasons. But within where we are, we can still make possible for us to merry-make and not feel like we are being shortchanged. And especially children who are the age of great excitement, they also need to be helped to understand that over and above the celebration, we can still find a lot of joy by managing what we have currently.
Wow.
Yes.
That is so interesting. And even now, as as we just dive deep into, avoid the competition, just be you. There's nothing probably that you haven't, There's a food, of course, you're looking forward to having, but
True.
let not that be the defining moment for you.
Agree.
Now, there's another reality, though. There's someone who wants to spend time with family, but families are different. There's conflict at home. They're afraid of going home because of the pressure from the families. Sometimes it's the gossips, maybe from family members, or sometimes it could even be witchcraft. And this person really wants to go and, have a good time, reconnect with family members, but they're at a point where it's crossroads. If I go, I may end up being miserable. If I remain, then I'll be lonely. So where is the balance?
Like somebody said, if you go, you are damned. If you don't go, you are still damned.
Yes.
Families have a tendency of creating unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
Unrealistic expectations means that they expect it is you who will go and be the celebrant, that we are celebrating you, and you are the one who is making provision for what we are celebrating. There are people who bend backwards to do that,
That's true.
but then come back very wounded. You created an image, the season of the image is gone, and reality dawns that you have to meet this obligation because you created an image that costed you, just to make sure that everybody is left assuming that all is well.
Yeah.
I don't think it is wise to go that route. Number two, if you have family conflict that will not allow you to go, including the things you have said, Chira and witchcraft and everything else, again, see how well you can support and at the same time be safe. Are you going to send support their way and let them know, unfortunately, this time I'm not able to make it? This is what I have. Our circumstances have been very challenging. So kindly make do with this until we trust for God to change our circumstances. That is also another way. Actually, most of the times, we are the ones who beat ourselves as opposed to people beating us.
Yeah.
We beat ourselves because we are not meeting the expectations we have put for ourselves and assume we are being beaten by other people. Just be plainly honest with people. Let them know this is what I'm able to do. I can't come this time. I'll be able to push this your way. Do your very best with what I've sent, and let's trust for better times ahead. That's how I would approach it. So that you don't go into a conflict zone.
Yeah.
You know who will say what. You know what so and so will do, and you are still going into it. I don't think it is a pleasant, wise thing to do. If you can keep off, because that is what is demanded of you under the circumstances, kindly do. It is wise, it is safe.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so profound. And even, as we talk about be wise, the thing is also, as you're being wise, you also have to, your antennas have to be very, very alert.
True.
And this is in terms of discernment. Yeah. Because with the festivities happening, there's maybe a lot of invites here and there, here and there, here and
Many.
there, right?
Many.
And there's places we know you step in and your spirit is corrupted.
Absolutely.
So how, how can we, just prepare ourselves? How can we make sure that our spiritual antennas are very, very sensitive to the Holy Spirit, that we are not entering into spaces that even the Lord, we honestly have no business going in. So how can we cultivate that discernment?
We come to three human beings. They are referred to as three Hebrew boys. The Bible does not tell us of their age, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
Yeah.
They are actually captives in this place. They are strangers in this town. And the king issues a very interesting decree.
Yeah.
Before the words are out of his mouth, and it is the king who has said it, they respond by telling him that is not a matter worth considering. In other words, we will not spend time thinking about what you have said because it is not worth that effort. We shall not bow down. And they continue with the entire script. And from that moment, as soon as they have told the king, this is not a matter worth considering, they actually remove the matter from the king you don't see him talking about it anymore. They removed it from his hand, and they're the ones who drive the entire process to the end by telling him, we know our God is able to deliver us from this fiery furnace. That we have no doubt.
Yes.
But we also know our God has a sovereignty. As a result of his sovereign will, not inability. If he chooses, on the basis of his sovereignty, not to get us out of the fiery furnace, even then, we shall not bow down. Many times we make the mistake of wanting to please everybody. Because they will be offended you didn't go.
Yes.
And you know very well, if you go, you know what you're expecting. It will not be pleasant, it will not be a blessing, but because you don't want to offend people, you would rather end up being offended.
Yes.
And so we get offended into too many places because you want to please everybody. A people pleaser is a very uncomfortable person because you can't please everybody.
That's true.
Even when you persuade yourself you have pleased them enough, if you go back where they're whispering, you'll be shocked at what they said, at you who attempted to please them. So let's avoid the aspect of pleasing people. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Where you know there is no comfort in going, just like Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, don't give consideration. Go where you'll be a blessing,
Yes.
and go where you will be blessed, so that your season, in the manner in which you intend to be able to celebrate it, will have a level of excitement without being offended by people whom you should not allow yourself to offend you.
Wow, that's interesting. Someone once told me, respect yourself. Stop. You cannot be pleasing everyone. So learn to respect yourself.
Yes.
Learn to draw the boundaries.
Agreed.
So that's another lesson for this Christmas
Oh, yes.
season. Wow, that is so profound.
Yes, draw
And
boundaries.
even as we talk about drawing these boundaries, there's people, or when it comes, people save money to to enjoy the festivities.
Yes.
But now, just looking at how our economy has been, even the world economy, things are a little bit volatile. So, how can someone just spend, wisely spend for the festivities without even overdoing it? Because as you've said, the reason for the season is hope.
Yeah, the birth of hope.
Yes, the birth of hope. So how can you make sure you're not here overspending?
There's a saying that I had where the community that is given credit of that saying says, when the tune changes, the footwork must change. When the tune changes, the footwork must change. Our challenge is either we do not know when the tune has changed, so that we may change the footwork, or we have not known the tune has changed.
Yeah.
And therefore, we are still dancing on the old tune. And the people who are watching you dance are wondering, sasa yule, kwani hajui kucheza dance, si atoke kwa kiwanja.
Yeah.
So I think in responding to what you have said, the tune has changed in many ways.
Yeah.
And because the tune has changed, it is wise to change the footwork.
Yeah.
So that you may dance in tune and in harmony with what is on the turntable. With that, therefore, in mind, shift gears. Before the automatic vehicles were manufactured, we used to drive manual vehicles. Now, manual vehicles, when we were doing driving, the instructors, the first thing they told us, ukiingia kwa gari, ujue lugha ya gari. Because kujua lugha ya gari means it is you who will know when to engage a low gear and when to engage a high gear. You can only do that if you know lugha ya gari. Now, coming to Christmas, jua lugha ya season. Season imebadilika. And because the season has changed, please shift the gears so that you are not going uphill in gear number 4, that vehicle will stall. You need to have shifted to either number 2, depending on the incline, or even number 1, depending on how steep the incline is. So what do we tell the viewers on this podcast? Shift gears. The tune has changed economically. Shift and change your footwork so that you are in tandem. And if there are people, you must share that thought so that they read with you on the same page. Sit with them. Tell them, based on this and this and the other, we will do things differently because this is our ability. There's nothing to be ashamed of that. There's nothing to be fearful. Simply let people know, the people who you must converse with and confide in will do things differently because the tune has changed.
Wow. Shift the gears.
Shift the gears. Otherwise, the vehicle will stall. Now, it will not just stall. It starts to roll back.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is so profound.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, as we are changing these gears, because the season is a season of birthing.
Festivity.
Yeah, it's birthing of hope.
Yes.
So as you know, as listeners, someone who wants, who's just wondering, how can I, birth hope in people around me, in my neighbors? Most of the time people say giving back to your community. In this season, what are some of the ways that we can birth hope in other people's lives?
We can only birth hope by giving what we have. So the first thing to do is, there is what you'd have wanted to do or what you have traditionally done. And that seems to have been the standard that has been set. But because we are shifting gears and the tune has changed, then you ask yourself, unlike last year, when we were able to do this because our season favored us, in this season, what do we have? And if this is what we have, who will be blessed by what we have? When we had the liberty and the ability, we dictated where we go.
Yes.
This time around, it's the other way around. What we have is what will determine where we will go and where the need is. And so, get to know how your season is, get to know what you have, and ask yourself, where can this be of great benefit? Is it a hospital patient who a pint of milk and bread will make such a difference on Christmas Day? Or even a meal cooked at home. Just taking it to a patient who did not expect anybody could make such a great difference. Yet when it is your neighbor atashindo sasa wewe potluck umeleta ya nini.
Yeah.
So identify what you have, know who it will be of great benefit to.
Wow. It's again shifting the gears.
Yes, last year we are the ones who informed where to go.
Yeah.
This year our circumstances are informing us where to go.
Yes, that's a
with
very
what
good
we have.
insight. Yes, that's such a good insight. And Rev, even as we wrap up this conversation,
Yes.
there's, someone, maybe a family somewhere, a mom or a dad, and they're not in good terms, maybe their children or grandchildren. So in this festive season, on this Christmas Day, they're going to be alone. They don't have people coming into the homes. And we have someone, maybe a young person somewhere, who's not able to go home for one reason or another. It could be because maybe, it's work related, or maybe you're not even in the spirit of going home. So in this season, for that someone who's not able to, just enjoy the festivities as the other people are, what word would you have for them? Just to keep them in the festivities.
You're right, that's a possibility. And those people are there.
Yeah.
Allow me to make a biblical reference that we could make application. King David comes from battle with a team. And when they get to their village, they realize that the place has been ransacked. Everybody has been taken, their wives, their children, all gone. And the same Bible record says the men wept until they could weep no more. There were no women because the women had been left at home and the children. So these people who have come back are men. They wept until they couldn't weep anymore. That would have been okay if that was the end of that biblical statement. It doesn't end there. These same people who had come back with David from battle turn around And the Bible say they decide they want to stone David. David must have been taken aback very seriously, because these people had not left him in the camp. He was with them at the battlefield. So he couldn't understand, why would you then want to lay blame on me and stone me? There is something David did that we could make recommendation to that mother at home whose circumstances are, she is very sure, the sons will not go if she has any. The daughters will not go if she has any. Or probably even a separation in the marriage where the husband will definitely not appear. That she knows. There is that person who is the one who is manning the office. We can't leave the systems without any person. The lot falls on you, you stay here. There is that one whose the home environment is so hostile that the most sensible thing to do is not to appear. The application is, you are as broken as David is, because the people who should have been his backup are the ones who have turned around against him. The first thing he did, the Bible says, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. And after encouraging himself from the Lord, he did the second thing. He made inquiry of the Lord and asked the Lord, do we pursue the people who have ransacked our village? And if we pursue them, are we going to be victorious? So for that mother, for that man, for that son, for that daughter, for that person who is in charge of the office, for that other person whose environment is so hostile, they do not see eye to eye. And therefore the idea or even the possibility of going home for Christmas is absolutely non-existent. Do what David did. First, encourage yourself in the Lord. The second thing, inquire of the Lord as regards the matter that has caused your circumstances to be the way they are. And accept that this Christmas will be different. We do not know how long this season will be. It could be this Christmas. It probably was the previous Christmas. Another Christmas has come. Things have not changed. Inquire of the Lord about the matter, in the hope that the next festive season, God will have given you the victory. If it will not have happened, keep on trusting God that he will change circumstances in what he refers to as in the fullness of time. So in response, encourage yourself in the Lord. Number two, as regards the matter or the matters, inquire of the Lord for guidance and for instruction and for direction.
Thank you so much for spending time with us in this Christmas episode. We wish you and your family a Merry, Merry Christmas. And please, before we go, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Merry Christmas. From us, the one-on-one with Rev Makena's crew, we wish you a very, very Merry Christmas.
We wish
A Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
One-on-one podcast with the Rev Makena.